in our WAFCON segments, talking about the Women's Africa Football Cup of Nations. We just concluded on Sunday, and Cameroon have now been crowned champions of this year's edition after defeating debutants Malawi 3-0 in the final in Rabat, securing their first continental title. Marie Ngah scored twice, while Naomi Eto added another as the Indomitable Lionesses ended the run of 3 previous final defeats to Nigeria in 2004, 2014, and 2016. Cameroon had initially failed to qualify for the tournament after losing home and away to Algeria, but earned a second chance when CAF expanded the competition from 12 to 16 teams. Malawi, the lowest-ranked team at the tournament, produced a remarkable run to the final after eliminating defending champions Nigeria. They also beat Egypt, Ghana, and Algeria. Cameroon's victory also secured their place at the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil alongside Malawi, Algeria, and Morocco. Let's listen to the coaches and, of course, the players who spoke after the game.
We know good things in this tournament, WAFCON, and comparing to other, tournaments which have played previously, and this one I think is a huge tournament, well organized, and meeting tough teams. I think players have learned a lot from these matches we've played, and I'm sure that most of the players, I think there's going to be very improvement, and I'm also very sure that I think some players will also get maybe due to go and play maybe overseas. So I'm happy, and we're looking forward, I think, to participate again maybe next year or after next year in this tournament.
Of course, I can say like that, but we are not anymore because we tried our best to fight hard today game, but it didn't work out for us. Congratulations to Cameroon, because we have been here, I think 5 times or 6 times, but that's the first time we reached finals. We applaud ourselves because we reached finals, because there are a lot of people who didn't give us a chance that we can reach finals. So I'm proud for the young girls because we qualify. Also, we're going to the World Cup, so now our mind is on the World Cup. We need to fix our team and go to the World Cup and to make history again. Yeah, of course, both this time, our first time, so we didn't know Cameroon. It was our first time to play for Cameroon, so we're going back, we fix our team, and next time we need to qualify again to come to the WAFCON. We surprise people also next time, so I'm looking forward for that also next time when we're coming back to WAFCON again, work hard.
I feel good, I'm happy about that. Malawi is the first time to be in the final. But anyway, first of all, congratulations to Cameroon, they deserve it. There was here play for the finals, maybe this was the 3rd or 4th, but today they win, and to me, I'm really proud of them, and I also congrats to Cameroon. Malawi was the first time to be in the tournament, but we make a history. We thank God about that. We qualify for World Cup for the first time. For the first time we qualify for Africa Cup of Nations. For the first time to be in the final. It's not easy. As you can see, even you journalists, you give us small percentage about Malawi to be in the final. But what God did, He surprised everyone. We really surprise everyone, and we thank God about that.
We wanted the number first, so we just had bad luck today, but I hope next time we come back.
Of course, the Malawi players right there are not disappointed that they did not get to win the tournament. They are very excited that they got to the finals and also qualifying for the first time for the FIFA Women's World Cup that will be happening in Brazil. And also, remember, this is their debut appearance at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, and they went straight to the finals. Imagine what would have happened if they'd been part of this tournament from time memorial. All right, we've got Dewa Fabrice, a sports journalist, of course, from Malawi, and there is, from Cameroon, I beg your pardon, and there is Peter Kanjere, a Pan-African football journalist from Blantyre, Malawi. Guys, thank you very much for joining the show today. One side is excited that they have won the tournament, while the other but are excited as well for having a successful tournament and also making it to the World Cup. I'll start off with Peter Kanjere. What is the feeling like over there in Malawi after the loss to Cameroon, but on a very successful note, qualifying for the World Cup in a debut appearance at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations?
The mood is a little bit low. We're a bit low, but I would say mixed feeling of some sort, because on one hand, we're saying we should have won. The team was so close to winning WAFCON. But then, on the other hand, we're saying, but being a debutant, reaching the final, qualifying for the World Cup, maybe we can still pat ourselves on the back. Of course, what has ever happened in the past 2 weeks was something that was beyond our wildest of imaginations. So at the moment, deflated a little bit, but not without hope.
All right. I mean, for Cameroon, it's been a long time coming. They've always played second fiddle to the likes of Nigeria, South Africa, right there at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. But finally, Cameroon have been able to lift the trophy. They've been able to put their hands on the gold medal at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. And we saw the way the players celebrated yesterday. And for Cameroon, it wasn't a fluke as well, because the goalkeeper, Michaeli, was there from start to finish. Cameroon faced all the odds. But Fabrice, Cameroon came through the back door. They initially did not qualify for this tournament, but they came through the back door, and silently, slow and steady, they went on to win the tournament. Fabrice.
Thank you for having me again. I think it's a historic story. We don't even know how to tell the story, because a lot of people did not expect this to happen. Before the team left Yaoundé, I think 3 weeks or so ago, nobody saw them as a team that could go beyond the group phase. A lot of people thought it was going to be the old story that we saw in the last 4 years, where the team was knocked out in the quarterfinals in 2022 by Nigeria, and they failed to qualify for the 2024 edition, and again for the recently concluded version, where they were brought into the back doors when CAF expanded the tournament from 12 to 16 teams. So nobody expected this team to perform this way. Not even those, I think, even those at the federation, the football federation, and all of those things. Nobody expected the team to be this good, the team to play this beautifully, beating giants, Nigeria, and then Morocco, and then a Malawian team that was dreaded by almost everybody in the competition. So I think it's a historic story. It's a fairy tale kind of story that will be told to the generations that will follow, because I think we've never seen this kind of thing happening in Cameroonian football before. We've seen the Cameroonian team qualifying for the second round of the World Cup in its first ever appearance. That was in 2015. We've seen Cameroon progressing again to the second round of the World Cup. That was in 2019 in France. But we have never seen this kind of a performance from the Lionesses before. They went into this tournament, like I stated, as underdogs, a team that was completely out of touch, a team that was really not convincing at all, a team that was beaten at home by Algeria, which we all know is no name so far as women's football is concerned on the continent. So I think it's just about history. It's a fairy tale, and we're just trying to live the moment and just enjoy whatsoever that is coming out from this miraculous victory that the team has brought home to the country.
Right, so talking about that miraculous victory, Peter, for Malawi, there was a saying somewhere on social media that one of the reasons why Nigeria has been able to dominate football is because Malawi has not featured right there at the WAFCON. And we saw what they did to the Super Falcons of Nigeria, beating them in the group stage, and also giving some fantastic performances up until they got to the finals. Now, for the Chawinga sisters, of course, they're a huge inspiration to the team. But what exactly do you think has changed the system of how Malawi plays their football?
To be fair with you, the Chawinga sisters have always been this good. You look at where they're playing, the Tabitha Chawinga and her team Lion reached the UEFA Champions League for women in the final. Tema Chawinga is playing at the highest level. She has been a leading scorer for the league in the United States. But I think what was remaining was that these two had not played together at the highest level, and therefore most teams didn't know how they play. But then now I think most teams know how they play, and the way they perform is such that it gives the confidence in the entire team that when you have the sisters playing together, you are bound to have the goals. But of course, what we have learned from this tournament is that we have lots of defensive issues to sort out. Up front, Cameroon did well yesterday to neutralize the sisters. They kept them apart. They couldn't score. But then you would say at the tournament, they were among the deadliest strikers. So I think the team, what the Chawinga sisters have done is to help the rest of the players to raise their level. After this tournament, we can see that a number of players like Rose Kadzere, Faith Chinzimu, and the like, Sarah Mulimbika, who just came in the second half yesterday, you can see that the rest of the players are raising their game to match the Chawinga. So we have two world-class strikers, Tabita and Temwa, but the rest of the players, maybe they are not at that level. But hopefully from the experience of playing at WAFCON, hopefully this team is bound to go places. Even at the World Cup, I wouldn't be surprised to see them causing some upsets.
Right, of course, for Fabrice, what would you say about women's football? Because at some point, it felt like it might surprise some people to know that it's just 4 teams that have been able to win this tournament since its inaugural game. But what would you say about women's football? Is it on the rise? Because the 4 teams that made it to the semifinals have never won the Africa Cup of Nations for women. There's Algeria, Morocco, Cameroon, and then Malawi. So what would you say about women's football on the continent?
Football keeps growing on the continent, and like we saw, like you mentioned, we now see the likes of Malawi coming up. We see the likes of even Mali and all these other countries coming up. I think women's football on the continent is on the rise, and it just speaks to the kind of investment that has been made by all these federations at the national level and even at the continental level by the governing body, CAF. So I think it's really something that's continent-wide. A lot of the countries on the continent are trying to make a lot of investments. I think one of those very big examples that I can reference here without any fear, no doubt, is that at the level of Cameroon, where a lot has been pumped in on women's football to ensure that we get the domestic league, especially to the level that they can produce players who can compete against the best on the globe. When you look at the team that started the finals yesterday, only one player in that starting lineup started playing football out of Cameroon. That was the defender, Esther Maekit. The rest of the players either began their career at the domestic level or are still playing at the domestic level. We had as many as 7 players from the Cameroonian domestic league who were in the 26 ladies squad that traveled for this tournament. So that shows you the kind of investment that has been made at the local level to ensure that we produce the best talents as we can, as many as we can, locally before looking across the globe to see if we can bring a few other players from the rest of the world to further reinforce this team. So I think it's mainly about investment that has been made across the globe. And if I can mention an example that I think may not be good, but it may really illustrate the fact that the lack of investment can really affect the growth of these issues or these teams. It should be Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea won this tournament 18 years ago. That was in 2008. They were the first team to stop Nigeria from winning this competition. They returned again, I think 2 or 4 years later, and won in 2012. But again, since that period, they haven't been doing so much to ensure that they invest a lot, to ensure that they produce players, especially locally, that were able to be good enough to compete with the best. It's true, they have recently produced teams playing at the CAF Champions League where they got to the semi-finals. I think that was in 2021, the Malawi Kings. But that team was mainly of players who were coming from other parts of the world, like from Cameroon, like from DR Congo and others. So I think it's mainly about investment, and a lot of the federation on the continent, CAF itself is investing a lot to ensure that women's football on the continent is growing, and this tournament illustrated that point.
All right, great submission right there. Peter, before I let you go, of course, there's been an increase of the tournament, prize money and all of that. Going forward, what would be your advice to the organizers of this tournament? Because publicity is one major challenge that we have for women's sports, women's football. What can we do to improve the quality and publicizing the game?
We've always said football believes in diversity, but then I think time has come for us to walk the talk. It's disappointing to see such a big tournament being played in front of almost empty terraces. Morocco has been hosting big tournaments, including the previous AFCON tournament 2025 for men. If you compare the patronage for the men's tournament and what we witnessed in the WAFCON tournament is very disappointing. Our women, our girls deserve better. The same level of publicity awareness that we create for AFCON should extend to WAFCON. Because let's be honest, our girls have dished out the best of football. There were no minors or giants. It was so competitive, so intense, so that even like from where I'm coming from in Malawi, most people are saying it's worth watching women's football because it's not like in the past editions whereby you'll be watching women's football. It was a bit slow, boring, players would just be falling off. But now, technically, you can see the game is high up there, the intensity, the pace, the aggression. You look at the way Cameroon played in the final and how Malawi has been playing so beautifully. And you talk about football, you talk about the goals. Nice goals, acrobatics, and what have you. So I think going forward, CAF has to do more ensuring that the WAFCON receive the same level of attention that it should deserve. Most people around the globe have to know about WAFCON. It mustn't be only about when we are getting to the final of WAFCON, then we make a little bit of noise. On the patronage part of it, it was very disappointing to say the least. So we need to do more. It starts from the individual associations, of course, to grow the game. If we have the domestic league competitive, then it means we'll be driving fans to watch the domestic leagues. And if these players translate to the national teams, then it will be easy for the fans to follow the very same players. But where we have the domestic leagues that are weak, where our teams are not doing well, it's not competitive, then the fans are not bound to watch. But what we have seen so far, if we want women's football to grow, we also need to move the fans, we need to move the traffic to watch more games as possible, because football without fans is like you're talking about a desert without sand.
Football without fans is like talking about a desert without sand. Thank you for your submission. There were Fabrice, a sports journalist from Yaoundé, Cameroon, and of course, Peter Kanjere, a Pan-African football analyst from Malawi. Thank you guys, and congratulations to Cameroon, and may the success continue to bloom for African football as we head into the FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil. Hopefully, an African team can make it all the way to the semifinals or even finals, or not just one African team, more than one African team will make it through in the competition. Thank you guys for making it to the show today.